Looking back at your preliminary task, what do you feel you have learned in the progression from it to the product? Compare your thriller to the preliminary task.
In our preliminary task, we used minimal camera angles, so we only used, I think, 3 camera angles, and we didn't really explore a lot of different camera angles. But in our thriller, we kind of went, we used more advanced camera angles such as high shots, low shots, close-ups, and long shots.
And in our preliminary task, every shot was a still shot, so we didn't use any moving shots. And in our final product, we used a lot of tracking shots and the other one.
What have you learnt from your thriller project?
We've learnt how to use a really large range of editing techniques and camera angles, such as tracking shots and low shots, high shots, instead of, such as in our preliminary task, we used just still shots.
In our thriller, in the filming process, we learnt how to, we explored more camera angles, so we used high shots, low shots, long shots, medium shots, shots on the tripod, shots without the tripod, and in our preliminary task we only used a certain amount of shots. I think we used 3 shots, and they were really repetitive, so I don't think we used any repetitive shots in our thriller final product. Yeah.
And as for the editing, we learnt a bunch of skills such as how to edit the shots together so they flowed instead of being all choppy and being out of sequence, so it seemed like a proper film instead of being amateur. So that's what we learnt from our preliminary.
So in our thriller project, we have learnt skills such as advanced camera techniques, further editing techniques, and editing skills, such as putting titles on our video, which we didn't do in our preliminary task.
Our final product progressed in quite a few ways from our preliminary task, such as we used a whole lot of different camera angles instead of just using mainly mid shots that we used in our preliminary task. As you can see from our preliminary task, we used mainly mid shots, and that was it really, apart from one other shot. And then, as you can see from our final project, we used a whole lot of different shots, such as low shot, high shot, tracking shot, instead of just using still mid shots.
So, in our thriller film, we used fast-paced editing instead of our preliminary task where we used slow-paced editing. So, for example, the part in the film where the protagonist hits the antagonist with a stick was fast-paced editing. I think there was 4 shots in about 2 or 3 seconds, where in our preliminary task we used slow editing, so there was minimal cuts between each different shot.
We also used a lot more TomDavidJack sound in our final project, instead of, as in our preliminary task, we only used diegetic sound, and in our final project we used both and mixed them together so that the audience would feel more immersed.